Oh, sorry.
Last night at the training, when people were praying for each other, there was about 30 hands that went up for people who got healed. So all the people who were healed last night at the practice session, if you could please come to the front. We're just going to quickly just go down the list and just say what you were healed of. So, unless they might be the sleeping in type.
Could be so shy for. Maybe come down here.
And then there was also some people who saw their first ever instant healing. So if you could also come to the front, if you prayed for someone last night, that was your first ever instant healing that you saw. Don't be shy, everyone. Yeah, the ones that saw their first ever instant are just have to stand up here as a witness. So you don't have to say anything. We'll just do this real quick right when Curry gets in, so that's why we're waiting. So.
Bobo, did you guys have a good night last night?
Yes.
Good. Everybody coming in rested today? Good. It's going to be a good day. Very cool. Hey, don't wait for the outreach to start tonight. You guys go to the hotel last night. There's people standing around on their feet all day. You're going to go out to lunch today. There's people around here. So as you're talking to people, hey, ask them, do you need healing for anything? Do you have any pain in your body? It's an easy thing to do. It's funny, you just get yourself in that habit. And hey, don't forget your question. Did you write your question?
Not yet, I will.
All right, make sure you do that. That was a good one. That was a good one. I want to make sure you get your question answered. Good. You know, it's real simple when you have people that you're out and about with, when you go through the cashier line, you know, when you're checking out, always just ask the cashier, hey, you know, you're standing on your feet all day. How you feeling? Do you have anything that's giving you problems, aches or pains? And they'll look at you, and it's just real simple. They'll sometimes say, oh, my back really hurts, or something like that. You say, hey, give me your hand real quick, right? I mean, it's amazing. People that are waiting on you at restaurants and things like that, you can ask them. It's really a simple thing to do, and people don't understand sometimes what you're doing. But it's a real simple thing. I had a good conversation with somebody this morning who mentioned, he said, you know, this whole thing is a big deal. I have a hard time just like talking to strangers. Okay? If that's anybody in here, I won't ask you to raise your hand because my guess is you'd be afraid to raise your hand. All right? But what I want to encourage you to begin to do is to begin in your private times with God to confess who you are in Christ, right? And to begin to confess that I am not afraid, that I do love strangers. I love everyone because I have the love of God within me. And you begin to make eye contact with people. You begin to smile to them. You begin to greet them. Just very simple things. Let's don't go, you know, sometimes just trying to start off with the whole thing at once. You can't build a tree house in a sapling, right? But there's life in that sapling. So let's let that stuff grow, right? So you start making eye contact, and you start being kind, and you start being encouraging to strangers, and that's going to grow. Amen?
And the other one, if you want to pray for someone and they don't, you can always just put your hand out and thank them. And little do they know what you're blessing them and thanking them and getting it done right through that handshake. So Thanks everyone for getting here. And right now we just had a practice session last night. There's going to be groups going out tonight for on the street healing and evangelism. And Mr. Bob Spurlock and Andy Hayner led that last night. And through the practice, we actually had some people who were healed and some people who saw their first time ever instant healing, God healing through them. So we're just going to come up here and just say, you know, what you were healed of. You can just say shoulder, back, headache. So.
Just here?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, my shoulder was lingering for about a couple weeks here, and definitely got a relief here in it. So praise the Lord.
Stiff wrist, and it got flexible. Just try and pray for me.
5 days ago, I was mowing the lawn. I could only go forth and back and forth. And then I was breathing so heavily, I had to sit down for 5 minutes to catch my breath. I was getting chest pain. And I told my wife, I think the evil one is trying to help me. You better not go to that con. Traveling 12 hours in the car, in a hot car, no air conditioning. You're going to have a heart attack and roll and kill your wife and whatever. But we didn't do that. So last night I was praying for that, and just to test it out, I had to walk up 2 flights of stairs, and I ran up the stairs and walked right to my room, and I didn't breathe heavy.
I feel the photosensitivity in my eyes. Last night my eyes were completely bloodshot. Like usually around 8 o'clock I can't stand fluorescent lights. So I had headaches, couldn't see properly. Basically when I got back to the campground, I went and looked in the mirror and my eyes were completely clear and I felt great, no headaches. And then a few hours later we were talking with the guys at the campsite and I was released from a huge deep-rooted paranoia that had been wreaking havoc in my life. So pretty stoked.
Because after the prayer, I was being researched all over. So, and I was praying for, I think it was Nate's back, and this is the first time I've ever felt that they can't actually loosen. So,
Coach prayed for my neck and my headaches and stuff, and they're getting better. It's not completely gone, but it's much better.
I've been short of breath since birth, and I can breathe. Thank you, Jesus.
And now just anyone who had their first time ever instant results when they prayed, please just stand up where you are. Last night was your first. We don't have to be shy. We have hands go up. Okay, I guess we're being shy. Kathy, you want to do the announcement?
Okay. Yeah, that's it's the first one. Put your cell phones or other mobile devices on. Yeah, turn them off. Great. Let's see here. Schedule today. If you were not here yesterday, the schedule. Oh, great. Excellent. Kevin hung out schedules on posts. Today we're going to be going from 9 to noon with a break every about 50 minutes, and then from 2 to 5. And then tonight is going to be the hands-on street ministry, and there will be more directions coming out a little bit later today.
Andy and Bob will talk to the whole group right when Curry's done with the last session of the day at 5.
So everyone can just come up in a big throng. And, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully everybody also registered today. Even if you registered yesterday, you registered today too. And they have a little bit more information for some of you over there, so make sure to register. We now have 2 book tables. We've got a whole bunch of boxes that came in. Yay! So if we didn't have something yesterday, check it out. And there's also another book table over here on the side. Andy Hayner has written a couple books. excellent. And so you check all of that out. Is anything else I forgot? All right. Okay, I'm just gonna pray really quick and we will invite Curry to come. I thank you, Father. You abide in us and we abide in you. I thank you for preparing our minds to hear your truth. That no deception of the enemy can stop it, but the truth goes out and it brings forth fruit. I thank you, Father, that every body in this place completely healed and set free. Right now, in Jesus' name, receive healing. We receive your life. I thank you, Father, that ears are open, that we hear the things that we need to hear today that change lives. And as we're so full of your life, that we give it out, that it spills out on everybody that we come in contact with. We are so full of your love. Your love absolutely fills each person in this place. Thank you, Father. Amen.
And now, Mr. Curry Blink. And we may have made history here. Curry said he hasn't received a new question in 8 years. I'm going to hand him one that I'm thinking is new. And we'll see how he responds.
Dear Mr. Curry, yesterday you said that you are not special and no one is special. But Bob the Tomato says that you are special. And God loves you very much. Who should I believe? I guess I must say this will be in a category all by itself. I would like to know the age of the person, because if you're still watching Bob the Tomato, it's your age, you are special. So, all right. Now, I'm going to take, yes, I will do that today. So, we're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. I've got to finish a story from yesterday, because y'all asked me to yesterday and I did not, but I will finish that today and this morning. But I do want to go to something very quickly. We were in section 4, I believe, yesterday when we finished, and we're going to pick up on that. And there are details in this I want to cover. Yesterday I mentioned, we didn't read them, but I mentioned Matthew 14:14 and talking about why did Jesus heal. See, what I try to do is I try to get to the essence of things. And see, this is one of the things that we have to learn in the church. We'll be talking about this today. I mentioned it yesterday, that many times you don't get to pick your battles pick you. And we have to realize that we don't get to choose things. We just, okay, let me say it this way. The reason we have denominations is because people look at the Bible different ways. And the people that looked at it the same way got together in groups and said, this is the way we see it, that's our group, here's how we see it, here's our group. And unfortunately, the only illustration I have from a natural viewpoint to go with that is from the martial arts, because of my martial art background. Well, the problem in martial arts is that you can learn Japanese martial arts, you can learn Chinese martial arts, you can learn Korean martial arts, and each one of those look at a fight through the eyes of that ethnic culture and how it developed over hundreds of years. Rather than looking at something through the particular eyes of an ethnic group or a particular culture. If you want to learn how to win a fight, you have to look at the fight as it is, not how you want it to be. If you look, most now, martial arts in the old days used to be the combat training for military and private personnel. Nowadays, it's a hobby because very few people actually ever use their martial arts unless you're in a combative business, law enforcement, military, something like that. And if you look at, let's say, military, well, you've got martial artists that train for 10, 20, 30 years to master their style. But in the military, you don't have 10, 20, or 30 years to master hand-to-hand combat. Even the terminology is different. And so they go from a style to hand-to-hand combat. And the purpose of hand-to-hand combat is to eliminate your enemy. That's it. It's not about sportsmanship. It's not about, spiritual growth or, meditation, peace, and all that kind of stuff, which honestly, if you try to get that from the martial arts, you're getting a false gospel. Because nothing can provide peace except Jesus. So whenever you look at martial arts styles versus military hand-to-hand combat, the difference is the military doesn't care what ethnic group you're from. And because all humans basically have 2 legs and 2 arms and can only do things a certain way, and there aren't different ways of combat. There is simply doing what is necessary to eliminate your enemy. And so they do not look at combat from the eyes of an ethnic group or a style. They don't revere some leader. They simply say, we want to find the best physiological way to eliminate an enemy. Now, church is like martial arts styles. We're this group, we don't believe in that. We're this group, we see it that way. And they see the Bible and reality through the eyes of who they were trained by, rather than going back to the Bible and letting the Bible dictate the reality for which they train. What I do in teaching specifically divine healing is that we do not look at it from this camp, that camp. Just recently, when I was in Wichita, we had an interview, and people were saying, there are people, there are groups, there are camps, they call them. You've got the intercession camp that believes that you have to intercede with God on behalf of somebody to get God to heal them. You have the praise and worship camp that all they want to do is gather and worship and expect God to do things during worship. Does he? Absolutely. Is that the way he said to heal the sick? No. Do people get healed doing it? Yeah. But is that the way he said to do it? No. And see, here's where we mess up. The church has ceased to see healing as a sign. And they look at it as a reward for good living, for straightening up your life, for getting the sin out of your life, or something. And they look at it as a reward. Well, if you get this out of your life, God will reward you with it. So if you want to be healed, then you have to get this out of your life so that you can receive the reward. They wouldn't say it that way, but regardless of what you call it, it is what it is. So what we've done is that and then they came to me and they said, okay, now what about your camp? And I'm like, I don't have a camp, I have a Bible. I don't think in terms of a camp. And they said, well, how do you normally minister? And I said, well, like Jesus. Jesus ministered mainly one of 2 ways. Mainly, through a word of command or touching someone. Those are the 2 main ways. Now, there are other ways, And whenever he gave a word of command, he operated in his authority and in his dominion. And so because we minister the same way, so word of authority, word of command, by laying on hands, according to Mark 16, and many other scriptures, then we operate mainly in a realm of authority or dominion. Now, there are other ways that he ministered. Many times. He spit and made mud, put it in people's eyes, and put his fingers in their ears, and when he moved his fingers, then they could hear. And one time it said he spit and then touched the guy's tongue, and he could speak. Okay? Those are all methods Jesus used. But we don't generally do that. Mainly because people in Walmart don't like you spitting on your hand and then trying to touch them. So, but what we have to remember is that the methods are not sacred. The message is sacred. And so the methods can be adapted to meet the needs of the situation. But one of the things we've noticed is that, just as you've already heard here today, we mainly operate through a word of command. We command the body to be healed. We command the sickness to go. If there is a demonic influence there, we command it to be gone or to be removed. So we give a word of command. The laying on of hands can be laying your hand on someone's head. That's fine. You don't have to lay it on a part of the body that's afflicted. You can, unless it's a personal part of the body, then you shouldn't, of course. But an easy way to do it that most people will agree to without even thinking about it is just sticking your hand out to it like you're going to shake their hand. That's laying hands. When they say several times, people look at it this way. Anytime it mentions how Jesus touched someone, and even the disciples, it always says he took them by the right hand. That's just like shaking a hand. So whenever we reach out and shake someone's hand, my idea is I'm laying hands right now, and whatever I've got is going into them even before I start telling them. Why? Because they don't have to know. Here's one of the things I've noticed. I watch a lot of different videos. People send me videos, overseas things are being translated. And I noticed this. And matter of fact, I did it purposely different last time when I went to Ukraine. I noticed that when people go places and they use an interpreter, even when they're praying for the people, the interpreter interprets the prayer. And I started noticing that, and it bothered me. And I didn't know why it bothered me. But then it started, little by little, coming to me of why it was bothering me, because as they would pray for the people, they would interpret exactly what that person said. So if they said, in the name of Jesus, they would repeat it. Right now we command all sickness and disease. And then they would say it in their language, whatever it was, and they would repeat it. And it kept bothering me. And then finally I figured out why. Actually, I didn't figure it out. It just kind of like, bing, and there it was, and I knew why. If what we do is psychological, then they need the translation. If what we do is spiritual, they don't even need to know what we're saying. So when I was in the Ukraine, we would be ministering to people and talking to people, and I'd be preaching, I had an interpreter. But whenever I started praying for people, I told the guys that were there with me, part of the team, I told them, do not interpret what I pray. Why? Because demons and sickness will obey me regardless of what that person thinks or what they know about it. If what I'm doing is real, the person should not have to know what I'm saying. So I purposely made it impossible for them to know what I was saying, which made it, okay, I believe in the Elijah theory. When Elijah faced the prophets of Baal, he stood back on the side, let them do all their stuff. They brought in all the dry wood. They danced around, they shouted, they screamed, they danced. Just pretty much like a modern charismatic church. Trying to get their God to show up. Elijah sat on the side and just made fun of them. And just kept saying, man, maybe you need to yell louder. Maybe your God's going on a trip. He even said, maybe he's in the bathroom. Yep. Now think about that. He was making fun of them. Well, that's not Christian. You shouldn't make fun of somebody doing stuff. No, it is fun. And then finally, when he gave them all the opportunity, then he said, okay, now we're going to do this. What did he do? Did he just walk up and go, fire, go there? What? No, he said, all right, what we're going to do is we're going to make it hard. See, they were doing everything they could to make it easy for their God to show up, and he still didn't show up. That's what most Christians do. You try to make it easy. We try to get everything just right. Let's get the atmosphere right. Let's get everybody believing just right. Let's do everything just right and make it easy for God to show up. Elijah, on the other hand, said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pour water on the wood. Matter of fact, bring more water. Matter of fact, let's make it even more water. And the water filled the trenches, soaked the wood. Wow, what was he doing? He was making it as hard for God to set fire to this thing as he could. That's the spirit of Elijah. To make it as hard as possible so that when it happens, there is no doubt, no explanation, nothing else other than this was God. That's the philosophy I go by. So whenever we were in Ukraine, that's what I did. I made it as hard. I tried to eliminate any aspect where somebody could say, oh, that's just psychological. That was just group hypnosis. Right? Well, I got news for you. Hypnotists would love to be able to hypnotize a blind person to the point where they can see. But they can't. Why? Because it's not hypnosis. It's the power of God. And so we try to make it as hard as possible. Now, I'm shifting. Now, please understand that I'm here. The only reason I'm here is because I love God and I love you. And I love the people that you're going to help. That's the only reason I'm here. I have no other agenda for being here. I could be home with my family. I could be anywhere. So if I'm here, it's because I love God and I love you. Now, I love the fact that within JGLM, as a group, as a team, we have all different kinds of personalities. And I love the fact, even like this morning ago, what Andy said about, okay, you may be a sapling and, grow and you may not be. I love that, and I thank God that within JGLM we have a full range of spectrum of personality. Okay? Me personally, I'm on the other end of that. Why? Mainly because of the experience and military background. Right? I personally don't care if you're bold or timid. Because the military doesn't care if you're bold or timid. You go in the military, they're going to tell you to do something, you're going to do it. It's really just that simple. You're not going to make a choice. You're not going to say, well, I'm just not an outspoken person. Well, guess what? You will be. Whether you want to be or not. Yeah. Because it's not your choice. He says in Matthew 28, you go into all the world and preach the gospel. Isn't that simple? Yeah. Well, but I'm just not an outgoing person. Okay. Suppose Jesus was like you. You think he wanted to hang publicly on the cross? You think that was easy? He did it because he loved you. Now, how much do you love him? You don't have the right to sit back while other people do your job. You don't have the right to sit back and go, well, you don't understand my personality. I don't care about your personality. What I care about is people are dying waiting for you to get over yourself and actually preach the gospel and demonstrate it. So, do we allow you to go? Absolutely. That's why we do these activations like we do. You get to go and you can stand back and watch and you can see the things and you can get bold and you can grow. But at some point, you got to quit growing and step out.
Yep. Yes. Amen.
And especially when it comes to testifying, if it's your first time to see a healing or be healed or first time to minister healing, you need to tell it. Honestly, most people that don't tell it, don't keep it. Why? Because the enemy watches while we're talking and while you're giving testimony and telling people about it. You know what's happening? God is watching, angels are watching, and devils are watching. Yeah. And when the devil sees that you're timid and you hold back, they'll say, oh, this is easy. All we got to do is make them uncomfortable and they'll cower. But you need to read the book of Revelation. It says the timid, the fearful, and the unbelieving have a place in the pit. He said that the righteous are as bold as a lion. So which are you? Are you righteous? Then you're bold. I don't feel bold. Didn't say the righteous shall feel bold.
That's right.
It says the righteous are bold. You know what brings boldness? I always have people tell me, would you pray for me to have boldness? No, I will not. I don't pray for boldness. The Bible says you are bold. Secondly, you know what makes people bold? You're bold when you are sure of what you believe. If I ask everybody, if I went down the road with every person and said, what's your name? You'd spit it out real quick. Why? Because you're sure. And if you said, my name is Bill, and I said, no, your name is not Bill. Your name is Tom. No, my name is Bill. No, your name is Tom. Well, I think I know my name. No, you don't. I'm telling you your name. Your name is Tom. And you know what? You're not going to spend a whole lot of time with me. You're going to go, you're just crazy. You're stupid. You're crazy. I know my name. And you're going to get louder and louder. And the more I argue with you, the more you're going to stand your ground. I mean, how many of you, if I told you, how many of you, if your name was Bill, and I told your name was Tom, that after about 5 minutes you go, well, maybe you're right. Well, you're not going to do that. You're going to get bold. You know, the word bold means to be able to speak freely. That's what bold means. So at some point, you're actually going to be bold.
Yeah.
Because you are bold, and you're going to have to step out. The purpose, well, not the purpose, but a lot of church training has been to make people timid, because timid people are easily manipulated. So the church system tries to keep people timid so that they can be easily manipulated and made to do what the church wants them to do. But once you find out who you are and what you have in you and who's living in you and what he can do through you, the Bible says very clearly, you have not been given a spirit of fear. That word fear means timidity. You have not been given a spirit of timidity, but a power of love and a sound mind. And really what it comes down to is this. We try to put it back on temperament. We try to put it back on personality, all these different things. But the bottom line is this. How much do you love God? And how much do you love people? Do you love them enough to stop them from dying of cancer, dying of whatever else? Or do you just, well, you know, I don't want to push my beliefs on you. No, don't push it on. I'm just going to die and go to hell. I'm sure that's much better. No, there comes a point where you have to be the fireman. You have to be the policeman. You know, people that run into burning buildings, they don't want to run into burning buildings. They do it because they lay their life down for someone they don't even know. That's what firemen do. Same thing with policemen. Well, we are God's policemen. We are God's firemen. That's what we do. We make the choice to do what others will not do. And it's that simple. And the reason we can do that is because we have the Spirit within us that is bold, that is sure, that has wisdom and righteousness and all these things. That's who we are. That's the main reason why you need to find out who you are, is so you can start acting like who you are. Rather than just being a good church person that pays your tithes, sits down, keeps your mouth shut, don't rock the boat. Right? There's some boats that need to be rocked. So at some point, you have to step out. And the reason you do that is because you're supposed to. See, we don't have a choice to pick and choose what we believe in the Bible. We either do it or we don't. It's just that simple. Jesus didn't say, and those that want to do my words, I'll give them credit for that. He didn't say that. He said, he that does the will of my Father will endure to the end. I mean, over and over again, that's what we keep hearing in the Bible if we read it. It's not just, he said, many come to me saying, Lord, Lord. And I didn't know them. But he that does the will of the Father. Well, what's the will of the Father? Right here. But I'm talking about individual will on an individual case. Goes right along with this. He can't violate this. So if he said he healed them all and he wants them all healed, he said his word and healed them all, then he wants them all healed. Or he wouldn't have put, he could have put in there, I want some people healed. But he didn't do that. And since he wants them all healed, then he can't change that later and say, well, today's not your day. Today, you're the exception to the Bible because I don't want you healed or I don't want that person healed. See, he can't say that. God, there are things that God cannot say. It is impossible for God to lie. And once he has said his word, he cannot go against it because that would make that word a lie. What he has said is the way it is. He said that yesterday, Psalm 119, verse 89. It says, forever, O Lord, thy word is settled in heaven. There's no variation off of that. What he said is the way it is. So we go by that. And that's what we execute in this world. Now, you got awful quiet there. In Matthew 14:14, and yesterday we talked about laborers being ordained because of compassion. But I want to show you this. We have to get our minds off of why we think Jesus did this. And we have to find out what the Bible says was the reason Jesus did what he did. So let's just look at it. The Bible says in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. So I'm going to give you several witnesses. Matthew 14:14. Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. Why did he heal the sick? He was moved with compassion. Matthew 20, verse 29. And as they departed from Jericho, a great multitude followed him. And behold, 2 blind men sitting by the wayside. When they heard that Jesus passed by, cried out, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And the multitude rebuked him. Notice 2 blind men were saying, they did not say, Lord, heal us. They said, Lord, have mercy on us. Why? Because they understood, if you can get mercy, you get healed. Over and over again, you find that. Every time. And what do we know about mercy? His mercy is new every day. As long as there's mercy, there will be healing. And the multitude rebuked them because they should hold their peace. But they cried the more, saying, Have mercy on us, O Lord, thou Son of David. And Jesus stood still and called them and said, What will you that I shall do unto you? He's looking at 2 blind guys. Calls them to him and says, What do you want me to do for you? He's looking at blind guys. And you would assume, okay, I'm looking at blind guys, and they're saying, Have mercy. Probably want healing. But he asked them. I was in, Duluth, Minnesota, I think it was. Yep. And there was a young girl there that was blind. Except with the DHD, I didn't know she was blind until literally the 3rd day. Because she was sitting back and never really got near me or anything. I didn't see anything that gave it away. And so the last night, when we were doing the healing service, I had all the people we had trained, doing the ministry. I ministered, also had them doing it, because I wanted them to get used to it and get them activated. And so I said, everybody that's been to the training, come up front. That was really the first, I thought she was blind before, but I wasn't sure. When she came up, she actually carried the white stick with her. And she came up to pray for other people. I'm like, that's awesome. That's, the Bible says, pray for one another that you may be healed. So, it's the law of sowing and reaping. And it's perfect. And people say, well, should I pray for other people before I receive, when I need healing myself? Absolutely. The law of sowing and reaping works. You give healing away, you get back healing. It works. It's a guaranteed method of healing. So, everybody was ministering. I went to her and I just walked up to her. I said, do you want me to minister? Oh, I'm here to minister to others. I said, okay, that's good, but what about you? She goes, oh, I'm fine. She didn't even want prayer. Didn't even want eyesight back. And I told her, I said, I don't mean to be rude, but you're not fine. And she's looking at me like, what do you mean I'm not fine? And I said, I understand you're blind. She said, yeah, I've been blind since birth. I said, that's not right. And she said, no, but it is the way it is. I said, but you're ministering healing to other people. Got healed when she prayed for them. I said, you're ministering healing to other people. And she said, yeah. And I said, so you're representing Jesus? She said, yeah, I know, that's what you said, because I've been teaching all week. And she said, yeah, I know that. And I said, but you're not representing him as fully as you could and should if you remain blind. And she said, well, I never thought about that. And I said, well, I'm going to set you free. And she said, but I am free. And I said, no, you're not. And we had a couple of minutes there where we actually had to talk a little bit. But finally I told her, I said, and she let me know she really didn't want me praying for her. She just really didn't care. And I told her, I said, well, I'm going to pray for you. And she said, all right, go ahead. And I commanded her out to see. And it took about 3 times to pray before there was anything happening. The 3rd time, she started what she described as a headache. She said, I'm getting a headache. And I said, no. I said, what you're getting is a healing. And then she could start. First time she saw light, it just hit her. And she actually jerked back and said, I can see light. And I said, can you see anything? She said, no. I said, I'll pray again. So pray again. Commanded life into her eyes, commanded healing. Before she left her that night, she could have read that exit sign back there. Now, so people have to realize, people get into a mindset of that they're okay. What it is they have become used to their condition. People identify with their condition. That's why when you approach people on the street, you have to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. You have to know how to approach them. I was in a Walmart in North Carolina. Been teaching all week, and we went to Walmart and some people, okay, my wife and my family were there, and we needed to go to Walmart to get some stuff. We were visiting there, and we needed some stuff. And so we went to the Walmart to shop. But some people from the teaching there found out we were going and said, well, let's go with you. So now we got like 12 people following us around while we're shopping. And when we get there, my wife she's a pretty private person also. Didn't like people watching her and all that kind of stuff. So she told me, I said, can't you do something about the people? Yeah, So y'all just, go find something to do. Go find, and can we go pray for people? Great idea. Go do it. Go. Yeah. So they disappeared. And about 5 minutes later, here comes like 3 or 4 of them with people. They need healing. They didn't go pray for them. They brought them to me. This person has this, and this one, and we had a healing line right there in Walmart. We were standing there, which actually gave my wife time to go shop, and I kind of had everybody there. So I'm standing there praying, and then I see this young girl, and when she walked, she actually walked like this because her leg was turned in and her arm was drawn. And so I walked over to her, and when I walked up to her, I said, excuse me. I said, I noticed that you've got a situation going on. And I said, can I pray for you? And this girl turned directly to me. And I learned this day because she said, oh, I get it. You see, the crippled girl, you're going to go pray for another thing. I ain't got time for that. I'm on the clock. I mean, just instantly turned the whole thing. Here I am wanting to set her free. But she's so identified with her situation that when I mentioned her condition, she became offended. Why? Because her condition was her. So people identify with their problem. So when you approach people in the store, on the street, you have to remember, that's not in here. In here, pretty much everybody knows we're for you, what you're here for. You're in agreement with it. Out there, they don't know. So when you approach them, the one thing you have to do is you have to maintain the momentum and the initiative. You can't let them take control of the situation. And I learned that day because she just turned it on a dime. And I'm kind of like, no, that's not what I'm thinking. And she got me on the defense because I'm trying to let her know now that the reason I'm doing this was because of love for God and for her. And it wasn't a matter of, I see a crippled girl. Because that's not the way I saw her. When I see people like that, I don't see crippled people. What I see is, just like if I drive down the road and see a car on the side of the road with a flat tire. I don't look at it and think, oh, that person, they're poor person. That's awful. No, I think, let's stop, let's change the tire, get it back on the road. It's a flat tire, big deal, let's move on. And that's why I was seeing her with her leg and her arm. Let's just fix it, get you back on the road. I didn't relate the two, but I learned that day that when you minister to people on the street, you have to take into consideration, they don't think like you think. You're special, you think different. Does that make sense to you? So there's ways to approach people that you can't lose the initiative. You have to maintain control of the situation so that you can direct it to where you want it to go, rather than letting them hijack it and take it somewhere else. Right? So, look at the next one. Look at the rest of this. What will ye that I should do unto you? Verse 32. Verse 33. They said unto him, Lord, that our eyes may be opened. So Jesus had compassion on them. You get that? And touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him. So what is this? Compassion. Compassion healed again. Compassion healed again. You see it